Welcome to the Batman Book Club as we explore No Man's Land. I'm the host, Ryan Lauer, and with me is my Italian brethren, Peter R. Verra. Peter, hello.
Lauer, hello.
It has been a long time because we are not on the heels of the road to No Man's Land Omnibus when we did this in 8 parts before for the YouTube channel.
Mm.
And we said we were gonna get crack open the No Man's Land Omnibus. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a while. And here we are, finally cracking open the No Man's Land Omnibus that you told me,
I did crack it
talked
open,
me
by the way.
into
I did crack it
to
open.
into buying, and mine has actually been open longer
First
than
time.
yours has.
Yeah,
This
I
one,
opened mine last night.
you literally
Just
opened yours last night.
yeah,
Sent me the picture, shrink wrapped and all.
I thought I was like, man, do I really need to open this?
Do I
Like it was
really want
like
to do this?
I bought this like I forget when I bought it. Like has it been a year, 2 years? Kinda? If?
By the end
Somewhere
of
around
this
there.
this year conversation, I'm gonna know when our last one,
Yeah.
our
So I
Road to
was
Nameless
like,
Land was.
man, the resale value unopened. No Man's Land Omnibus Volume $1 million.
If that were the case, if you find that out now, I don't owe
I'd
you, but
kill
I'm really
Lauer.
sorry. I really apologize if that's what the case is.
But
Um,
yeah, cracked it open and man, this
yeah,
thing still this is my favorite
still
Batman
pops.
story. This is
Yes,
my favorite
so
Batman.
we did, I think, episode 50, quite a few years ago. You, me, Haas, and Mr. Minnesota did our top 10 favorite Batman stories on that
Yeah.
episode, and this was your number one. So I want to
Yeah.
open it at first with asking you, like, what's your history with No Man's Land?
I just like the fact that Batman's in like this weird element. Like it's Gotham City with no rules, no laws. It's like more territory.
Hmm.
It's more martial law than anything else. You know, it's just I think it's I don't think we've seen anything like No Man's Land since or before. Like I think it's kind of unique on its own. It's I think it's different than Nightfall. It's bigger. It's a mega event.
Yeah.
I don't even think DC's attempted to make. I think the only thing you could probably compare this to, size wise, might be Blackest Night. I think that had a lot of tie-ins. I think that was pretty big for Green Lantern. For what and and I just it's also the new Batgirl, new Batgirls, right? There's a few things
Hmm.
there. I think No Man's Land has a lot of significant events. I think it also defines Penguin for the modern generation. I think this story really kind of propels Penguin forward into what the character becomes. There's a lot to like in No Man's Land,
Hmm.
especially if you kept up with it.
Yeah.
I will say like just giving him forewarning. I'm not an Azrael guy, so Haas like
Same.
that's probably the stuff. I'm not going to be too kind to Az real. He I just especially when he gets his new suit, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I don't know. I love No Man's Land. I love how lengthy it is, and again, just putting Batman in an unfamiliar setting, I think is within Gotham City is
Yeah.
pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I think I read the trades. There are 5 volumes, and it's got like the caution tape on the binder. I
Yeah,
read those once,
I have them on the
and
rack there.
that's it. And apparently, that's got a lot omitted from it. It mainly runs, I
Yeah.
think, of like Batman Detective and maybe Legends and Shadows. But
So there's
it
that, and then
there's quite a gap.
they did another reprinting on like this yellow cardboardy stuff with more like
Hmm.
a glossy paper, and then that's supposed to be a more filled out version of No Man's Land. But I still think there's some parts missing, but I think it's more complete. And then obviously this is supposed to be everything.
Definitive.
So the omnibus,
This
yeah,
is
which is
absolute.
I don't know if I've actually read everything to be honest with you, which
Okay,
I've read most of it,
good.
what I have available, right? Like
Hmm.
between the trades and whatever I could pick
How
up.
many you don't have all issues of the entire event, do you?
No, I don't think I do.
Okay,
It's definitely it's not even on my like list of things to do because
too
I feel like
much.
it's almost impossible,
Yeah,
to collect all of No Man's Land. But I I'll pick up I if I see the caution tape on a spine, I'll pick it up
yeah.
if I don't have one.
So when did you first read No Man's Land?
I originally probably read it. Well, I read it in pieces. Like I probably read it. I remember reading it in honestly Robin. That's probably where I got most of it because I was reading Robin at the time as a kid, and that's the Killer Croc issue is probably my favorite. I think it's like Robin 70 or something. But
Hmm.
like Croc is like he's dealing with Drake in some way. So that's probably how I found out about it. And then when I was old enough to just again have money and have a job and buy a trade, and reading it kind of in its entirety, probably we're looking at like oh 05, you
Wow.
know.
Yeah. Hot damn.
So yeah, and then once you go from trade to trade, and then you just kind of got hooked.
I first read, so I would get random, issues in, in growing up and in random stacks and stuff. So I'm not even gonna count that as reading portions because it was so scattered and I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So my first time actually reading it completely, quotations completely, was probably like 2017, 2018.
Okay.
Um, and so I totally, yeah, rode in No Man's Land. Well, I read Cataclysm and what's the other C? Contagion. I did read those two paperbacks, probably 2019 or something. I don't know. But I just kind of don't count all that. It's like, no, I'm reading the
Really, I count
omnibus.
Cataclysm in No Man's Land.
No, 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 not it. I don't count it as like, oh, I started reading No Man's Land. I read the
Oh,
whole thing. It's like, no, I know the sequence of Cataclysm and Contagion and all the build up, but like this is my first. I'm reading everything
it was
between
whatever the
the,
corner store had at the time. Like they
yeah,
just always happened to have issues of Robin, so I was essentially reading Robin. But like if it wasn't that, it was like Shadow of the Bat. It was one
hmm
of those offshoots. It
yeah.
was never Batman or Detective. For some reason, I wasn't lucky enough to get those at the I think it was like a Sunny Mart, and that's where I would get them off the spinning rack. But yeah, so it was like issues of that and Robin.
So we had a spinner rack at the grocery store, and it did not keep up very well. And I think then it would be empty at random times too, because I would always, well, we had two grocery stores, and I think each had a spinner rack, and I'd obviously go run into them and look in, uh, and then yeah, it's never kept up, and then it was just gone. And so that's where I always, play my
Mhm.
sad song. I didn't get to get single issue comics very often growing up. And then I got a job, and then I moved somewhere that had comic shops. It's game over. Caught up on everything.
Game over.
Game over. All right, so it does say that the last, let's see, Road to No Man's Land was a year ago. So I
Okay.
think we're probably creeping on a year and a half or two. But it's okay. We're here now and we're reading it and we're going to be more consistent. I said it many times on the podcast and I'll say it here now. Pete has been ready, just asking me to tell him when. And then I finally now told him when. So this has been all on me. So this
Yes, been
first
great.
part,
All
just
our
to
fault.
yes, all my fault. Just to dip into this omnibus. We're going to read the first three issues just here for part one. First one is Batman No Man's Land number one, then Batman Shadow of the Bat number 83, and then Batman number 563. Happily, even though these are quote unquote multiple titles, they're all part of the same arc. No Law and a New Order, written by Bob Gale with art by Alex Maleev. These are the first three parts of that. Pete, we aren't gonna dive in like break down every single issue, but just like overall impressions and then, with some specifics. And I want to go first and in it being such a while since we've talked, Road to No Man's Land and everything, diving into this, I really liked it's a double-sized issue, this first issue. I really
Mhm.
like the setting the table of and reminding us where we're at, how Gotham City is. And it couldn't help even just this first part here. I knew this, you knew this, but this being your favorite story, you picked up in 2012 how The Dark Knight Rises was using this as an influence, and I could see things just even in its opening issue, very sprinkled throughout, that made
Mhm.
me think, oh yeah, that's Rises, that's Rises.
Yeah, I mean its influence runs deep throughout No Man's Land, even though it's kind of only in like the later part of the film. To me, this is just a wonderful table setting issue. From everything of the gangs to just the state of the city, what they're all doing. I think it's fun watching the military basically like, just kind of shove a priest away
Hmm.
uh, because they're kind of
Did you
like it
say it's
really
fun?
it's just it's
It
funny
is
because it's
fun.
like
To
no
hell with you,
it's
priest.
it's just like because it sets the tone like this is Gotham City, this is the worst of the worst, this is you see the sectors and how the city's broken up into survival and how the government's kind of shunned them and
Yeah.
they're off on their own. That and it's, as we mentioned in our recap show recently, we get a little bit of Scarface. He's kind of the one, he's the first villain that pops up,
Yeah.
So, you could see things are kind of not what they should have been, and specific people are definitely taking advantage of situations. And I think it does a really great job of just setting the tone of within the people. Like you're seeing
Yeah.
people trade, and what are they trading for? It's like it's fascinating seeing people reject certain things because they're useless in
Yeah.
what is now no man's land. So it's I think it's just it really again just sets the table for what's to come. And this is only the first issue, and it gives you a lot. And Oswald is front and center too.
It's your boy. And I
Yeah,
agree with many things that you said that you initially said of like this is kind of giving us the penguin that we now know and that we're now familiar with. You could see that in the opening pages and how he runs this nightclub and how auctioning off an apple and then takes a bite out of it and it's like, well, I get my cut. And that's just how he
yeah,
is. And who's going to push back on that because an apple is so valuable? The really great panel breakdown that's showing like leading up to getting into that club with the Apple. And the guy's like, "What do you give me for an Apple?" It's like a cell phone. Who am I going to call? A Walkman?
yeah.
What am I going to listen to? A
It's like
Rolex?
useless.
Why should I care what time it is? A flashlight with batteries? Deal. Like, huh? It sets the table in a unique way, and Batman's absent throughout this whole issue too, which is also interesting. And it doesn't bother me because this is, issue one of 48 issues in this omnibus. Like, Batman's coming. It's fine. And it's more about, like you said, it's about the people that are still in Gotham that didn't get out, and what's life like there. And it's a whole new way of living, whole new view on what is valuable, what isn't. Survival is key. The influence of others, the neighborhoods that are quickly, claimed by Scarface. Um, Penguin's starting to become the man who operates the flow of valuable items. All that in a really good table setting way with Barbara then Oracle narrating for us, like filling in the gaps
Hmm.
and then giving a broad view, a more broad view on the city in its entirety. And then we have this really cool. I do have a map printed out that I bought at I think a Renaissance festival of all places
Really.
Of this Gotham City map.
Yeah, this kind of became the definitive map of Gotham for a long time. Like, and
Yeah,
it's cool because as the story progresses, you'll see the colors change, and it's kind of fun watching one gang take it over.
we'll get the
It's
map
almost,
again,
yeah, like,
updated.
it pops up throughout the whole
Nice.
storyline, and it's all color coded. And some people lose territory, some people gain. It's fun to watch it evolve
Hmm.
because you're kind of like, oh wow, I remember when Croc had just a small little square, and now he's got like the whole western coast. But it's fun to see like the map plays a part. It was one of my favorite parts of like reading it in the trade was, oh, I can't wait till the end of the book and I can compare the map to the other one.
Yeah.
Also,
Uh,
like I think the whole Batman Gordon relationship is really tested here early
yes.
on.
Ooh.
Like they do a good job teasing Batman.
Yes.
He definitely comes in. I think at the most reasonable amount of time. To be honest with you, I don't think it's too much like Jaws. I don't think it's too little. Like I think it's just the right amount where like you talk about Batman enough and then he's there. But Gordon has some interesting takes going forward here.
Hmm. That's what really surprised me is their broken relationship. Since
Yeah,
it's been a while since Road to No Man's Land, I kind of forget how we got there a little bit. I do remember, and it's touched upon, of Gordon was trying to, be employed in another city, and they were laughing at him because of saying that he needed basically
yeah,
a vigilante to help get his job done. He's not even getting his job done, so he kind of feels shamed. And then when somebody even shows him of a homemade signal, and he stomps it, and he says, "We don't need this because he's not coming. He's not coming." Because he'd
yeah.
have been here by now. He gave up on Gotham like everybody else. He always took the easy way out. Being a vigilante was easier than being a cop. So that's interesting way to set up their broken relationship going into this. and got 1,100 pages to go. All right, of volume one.
I don't think their relationship has actually been that strained before. Like, there's obviously in Hush when he's like, "Oh, you can't kill the Joker," right? Like
Yeah,
that's about as close as I feel like it got to.
I'm thinking like Dark Victory. Even he's at odds almost, just like with his task force on if Batman doesn't comply with us, then we'll do what is necessary. But it's not as blunt as it's put here in this opening issue.
What did you think of Batgirl?
This is Cassandra, right? In this one,
Um,
or don't?
mm,
Yeah, okay, it's gonna be revealed later.
yeah,
Okay, then I liked her. I
it's
thought
that
she was
outfit.
good.
Like this is the outfit. This is obviously Batgirl's outfit going forward. But yeah, like it's
I forget if we ever saw who she was in Road. If not, then I'll be surprised. But the stitched face is almost like a little strange to me, but that's so small and you don't see it that well because she's kind of hidden in shadow a lot. But otherwise, she's I think she's pretty good, and I think she earns her status in her place, and she's the one that initially brings back talk of the bat.
yeah. I kind of like her doing the tagging and stuff, and I like her
Yes,
confrontation with the not
instantly
confrontation.
rises. That's what I
Yeah,
thought of right away with the
again, there's
tagging.
more rises, nods there, or more acknowledgement. I liked her interaction with the two little boys. And they're like, "Oh," and she's like, "How do you know I'm not Batman?" He's like, "Would you admit to getting beaten up by a girl?" It was kind of funny,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I enjoyed that stuff, and yeah, it was cool to see, because the mystery of this Batgirl, obviously, right? Because it's clearly not Barbara Gordon. So
Hmm. The another interesting thing, in the second issue, which is in Shadow of the Bat, is we return to this guy, this kid that's pulling a gun on people to
yeah,
try and trade goods, and he gets called on his bluff the first time that he doesn't have any bullets because, as
mhm.
we see, bullets are very valuable. Then he gets busted with another. He's trying to jump another kid, and that kid has some backup that stands up for him. And then we check in the third time. It's always a rule of three with comedy, right? And with jokes. And the third time, he's met with a dude in a purple trench coat and a hat, and he meets his demise. And that's so minor, but oh man, I loved it.
Yeah, just
I
that
loved
little
that
bit of
payoff.
Joker.
Hmm.
Yeah, because earlier, like Barbara's kind of the narrator, right? Early on in those in these three, and she's giving us kind of like the State of the Union here, and she's like the Joker's unaccounted for, and it's like, well, he's out there. Just
Hmm.
because no one knows where he is doesn't mean he's not out there doing his thing.
Yeah.
Oswald may be taking advantage of this, but also like, don't you get like Nicholson vibes like just from that page alone? Like that
Yes.
smile, just that looks like Jack to me.
That precious smell. Those ruby lips.
Yeah.
So natural. Yeah, but I dug that. And Joker's kind of minor in this. That's basically it for him. But I do know the thing instantly talked about with No Man's Land. It does involve the Joker. We'll get there eventually. I always forget
Yeah.
where it happens. We'll get there eventually.
If I'm not mistaken, it's at the end, so we got to wow.
Okay, we got a while. The You asked us Batgirl, the GCPD. I really dig the Gordon's a crucial part of this. So is Bach, who I did learn from Road to No Man's Land.
Holy.
Of like, hey, we have a Bach here in the Batman. Look at that, Bullock, and then yeah, Foley. Another Rises connection there. I'm unfamiliar on the outside of the known of Gordon Ramirez, Bullock. Like, is Foley, is this his debut, so to speak, in this event? Was he big in like
I don't want to say if it's his debut or not, but he does have a big role in No Man's Land. Like Foley,
okay.
you know, I would say it's probably comparable to
Hmm.
what it was in Rises. Like Foley was a bigger character than you thought he was going to be.
Yeah. So he's popping up a little bit here in
You
these
know Foley's
opening
first name in this
chapters.
book?
No.
It's Peter. Peter
Well,
Foley.
how about that?
There you go.
There's another one, kind of an antagonist with the GCPD's uprising here in Pettit. And he was
I
his
always pronounce it petite. Is it petite? All right.
petite. I don't know. I'm just going straight at petite. Nope.
Petite,
You just said
petite,
petite.
petite,
Petit. You know, I don't know. Say it how
petite,
you want to
petite.
say it.
Okay.
Uh, but he was making me think a little Max Court from Prey,
Okay.
who became the Night Scourge, and how he's not exactly wrong, and I guess he would be a police officer you'd want, to have your back, but it's still knowing how Gordon operates and what Gordon's pushing forward, this guy is doing it in a way that's combative. And as we see through this, he
Gives
he
me Merkel
is
vibes.
combative. Yeah, yeah, a little bit. I think
He reminds me of Merkel. That's what I always felt.
Merkel was Merkel was I thought was an ally with Gordon.
Who is the no? Well, who's the
Brendan
SWAT officer? The SWAT
in
officer
year one?
hothead in year
Yeah,
one.
Brendan.
Is it Brendan? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I always thought it was Brendan. That's who I would compare him to. Like this, he's this story's
That
Brendan.
makes yeah, I got
Sorry.
you. Okay. You know what? You only get three of those. So you're using up one. Brandon. I don't know why I said Brendan.
You
Um,
said it, and I agreed with you. So there you go.
okay. So we're all wrong.
All right,
But yeah, I
Brandon.
think
I don't like
that's
Brandon.
fitting too. Maybe he's a combination of the two. But
And it makes
um
sense that there's more than like there's got to be multiple guys like that in the GCPD, right? Like even now they're still corrupt as is. Like and Gordon's trying to make again, like Gordon's trying to make the best with what he's got, right? Again,
yeah.
in the police no in a lawless world, so like it makes sense that there's other guys like Brandon and all these other dudes
Yep.
just
Moving on.
fighting against him.
So it's something that I think maybe the most surprising to me of this first part that we're talking about is how Gordon and those in the small circle of GCPD are plotting to have rival gangs fight each other. And it's even brought up as if they like to the death. And Gordon kind of seems like, yeah. It's like, I mean, desperate times, desperate measures. And I think
Yeah, I
on
guess so.
paper, that's not a
It's very
bad
Rick Grimes
idea.
of him, isn't it? Like it's early Rick Grimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just like that to me. And it's approaching this, just trying to consider the story and the circumstances of the story that doesn't feel Jim Gordon. But then again, it's also it's as it's told throughout these three issues of it's a new world in Gotham right now.
That's
There's
it's
no law, there's no rules. Like, how do
that's
you
what I love
establish
about it.
order? Yeah,
It's the characters in the setting that but it's all turned on its head.
yeah,
This isn't an alternate universe. This isn't like, there's no take here. This is them in a just a new world almost, right? It's
yeah,
kind of crazy. It's crazy how just barren and it's a wasteland. It's whatever you want to call it, right? Like
hmm,
it's no man's land. It
yep,
is what it is. It's and it only gets better from here because we end this three issues in the best way possible, in my opinion.
yeah. For two notes, and because we're talking about GCPD, then we'll talk about this Brandon Court mass up dude. I think there's a really great written point of like you guys will eat you guys slay me. You'd never kill a cow, but you'd eat a T-bone steak. It's all the same. And
Yeah,
then as after the two um gangs fight it out and Gordon comes in to establish order and is, making his announcement about like, you have 1 hour to get out of our territory. If any of you are found here after that, the penalty is death. And then I don't know, Sergeant P, he's just like, just to show you we're not fooling around, bam. Just, takes out a guy, gun to the head. And pretty shocking. And then as he walks away, he's like, you guys enjoy your steaks. And I think, wow, what a punctuation.
yeah.
Like, it's one of those like this seems wrong, but
Is it?
like, I don't know. Are you willing to do what's necessary? Is this necessary? Where's Ra's al Ghul? He knows what's necessary. Like,
There you go.
man, that's good punctuation on this issue. I dig it.
I dig
Uh,
it. I
Another
dig it.
thing that how you say in ending this one is that we do have the return of the Batman. What
And
a
I think
great way, great way too.
and yes, and it's with his favorite sidekick,
That's right.
Alfred.
That's right.
And I loved
The bearded
how
man.
the two of them kind of work together, and I just love the dialogue. I miss Alfred in comics so much, dude.
Yeah. Same.
Oh, I miss
Yep.
Alfred, and it's this like one page of dialogue between the two of them as they kind of set up this criminal, and Batman takes him out, and it just creates like this awesome moment,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh man, hate you, DC Comics.
Again,
Poor
not Tom
Alfred.
King's fault. Tom King wasn't going to kill Alfred. DC told him, no, you got to kill Alfred.
Can we fire that person?
They might have been by now. I don't know.
Zaslav already got him.
Yeah, he didn't like him. That's his whole. That
That's it.
started his rampage. Was like, I didn't like that you
Who
killed
killed
Alfred. You're
Alfred?
fired. You're fired. You're fired. We are taxing off Batgirl. It all pisses me off. Or he was fine with Batgirl, but then he just now found out that Alfred Goff isn't around. He's like, well, then screw it. We don't need the movie.
Oh, jeez.
Write it off. But no, I thought that that was great because you knew like it was building up. Oh, who's the person under the beard? And he looked when you do get a good shot as his stature, that's not Batman. He's too small. So then it was, oh, who is that? And then you turn that page, and it's that full page, splash of Batman coming down, kicking ass. Awesome, awesome. And then hang on, Alfred. And it was like, oh my God, it's Alfred. Well done. Awesome. And
Mhm.
then yeah, some more kick-ass moments with that. And I'm like, that's a good Batman Returns. The Dark Knight
What
Returns.
was really good. Last way,
Move that.
yeah, let's rewind that.
Yeah.
We did the recap episode for April,
April. Yep.
and we talked about the importance of sidekicks, and I think there's a really great Batman sidekick moment here. Not even sidekick, like unofficial sidekick, like where he between Batman and Batgirl.
Hmm.
He doesn't approve of her, but he understands what she did, and he kind of appreciates it. Kind of keeping, in a sense, some order. Creating
Yeah.
some fear, like he's still out there, kind of carrying on the legacy. And maybe he's softening up a little bit. I mean, he's still pretty hard around the edges. Like he did tell Robin and Nightwing, stay the hell out, right? But
Yeah.
he's like, oh, this person I don't know, I trust him. Let's go. It's a little
Yeah.
funky, but he's kind of. I think he understands the importance of his team, and I think that's just kind of foreshadowing for eventually when Robin and Nightwing do make it their way back into No Man's Land, because I think Batman's going to realize he can't do this on his own. I think he realizes, even he
I,
can't
I
do
think it's
this.
done in a very Batman way. Because,
Yeah.
like you said, he's still rough around the edges. He's not like, hey, do you want to be my daughter? Kind of. Okay. And a hug. I sent my other partners away. Too
Don't
dangerous.
disgrace the symbol.
I didn't want the responsibility for what might happen to them, for what they might become. And she's, talking back to him and everything. Or it's a discussion. It's not getting mouthy or any of that shit. But, and he says, you're right about one thing. The city does need a bat. Just don't disgrace the symbol like you just said. And she says, then I'm approved. No, but you're not disapproved. And she says, that's good enough for now. And I'm like, that's a great exchange of Batman because he is kind of hard. He has that tough love mentality
Hmm.
and all that where he's not going to be like, yeah, I approve of you. Let's do this. It's no, but you're not disapproved. It's cool. That's exactly what he'd say. Like my version of Batman, that's exactly what he'd say. And then that's the end of the issue. And I was like, this was a great 3-issue introduction and into this omnibus, I thought all
Yeah.
three were great. He
It,
didn't
it,
show up till
it,
the third issue, but I didn't mind. Didn't mind at
it
all.
was I thought it was perfect timing
Hmm.
because you miss him enough to the point where you're like, where is he? And then you're like, before you really, really want him there, he's there.
Hmm. You've got to
You
let
know?
stuff marinate for it to really hit a point. You've got to give it some time. You've got to miss Batman to really enjoy his return. And
Imagine if it was published today, 2 issues in, people be like, I don't know what's going on. This is it. I can't read
no,
this.
it's overrated. Don't like it. It's the worst. Can't do it. Um,
Remember, there hasn't been a classic Batman story since 1986.
that's true. No, that's wrong. How dare you? 1996 is what you meant. The long Halloween. Anyways, okay, that's gonna do it for part one, Peter. So next bout, we're gonna have a little bit more to chew on, a little more steak to chew on. We talked Detective Comics 730, Azrael, Agent of the Bat, number 51, Legends of the Dark Knight 116, Shadow of the Bat 84, Batman 564, and Detective 731. We got 6 issues to talk about. So Pete, thanks for doing this work, getting us back on, busting into this omnibus. It's been sitting on my shelf for definitely over a year, and yours is now unwrapped,
You're welcome.
released to the wild. Do you want to plug
Released.
anything?
You can follow me socially at Pete Illustrated on various platforms, X and Instagram. Follow my news-based podcast, Rick Holzman at Straight Outta Gotham. Follow my Spider-Man podcast, that's Spidey Coalition. And then I appear on this podcast with
Yeah,
Ryan, the
you
Batman
do.
Book Club. And I'm all over BatmanOnFilm.com, making sure Bill knows what is not overrated and all that jazz. So just
All right.
telling Bill what he should be reading.
Yeah, Pete's your source. All right.
That's it.
Follow the main show wherever you get your podcasts, the Batman Book Club, and follow on the social stuff at the Batman BC. And until next time, read my Batman comics.